Fees. When you're looking at a buy-to-let mortgage, make sure you're aware of the fees involved. How many people here, if you're shopping around for a mortgage, would just look for the cheapest rate on that mortgage? Just look, I don't care what mortgage I have, all I want is the cheapest monthly payment. Anybody? No? Excellent, good to hear it. Go in, look at the overall package. So what are they giving me? How much is it going to cost me every month? What is going to happen if I want to leave them? What is the best value for money mortgage for myself? It might be that they do a great rate of interest, but they want to charge you £3,000 in setup fees. You only want to borrow 50,000, 3,000 fee on a 50,000 mortgage. That's 6%. You know, it's a big chunk to be paying. So just bear that in mind and make sure whatever you're looking to go for suits your own personal circumstances. What you get with the mortgage. Do you get a free valuation? Probably not in the buy-to-let, you know. What kind of fees? Have they got admin fees that they're going to charge you? Make sure you're aware of all the relevant fees that you're paying. If you've gone through an intermediary, what fees are the broker going to charge you? You know, how much of a percentage? Make sure the figures stack up for you, yeah? I don't know if I should say this really. I mean, you could go and get an advice of a broker. It doesn't mean you have to go with that broker. There's a lot of good information. You can use things like Money Supermarket, plenty of internet search engines. You can have a look around. So if you are even going to go and see a broker, do your homework first, get an idea of what's out there. When you go to that broker, then you've got a good idea of whether they're giving you what they think is the best deal for you, or whether they're giving you what they think is the best deal for them and the most commission. Not that I'm cynical or anything, but there you go. Sorry, go on.
If there are brokers that take commission directly from the bank, so they don't charge you, anything wrong with using that?
Nothing wrong at all. I mean, brokers can be worth their weight in gold. I personally, you know, if I didn't have knowledge of the market myself, I would always use a broker. If you go to a completely independent broker who can access any product in the market and introduce you to that product, they've got no allegiance. Just be careful that you are going to that kind of broker. Some brokers market themselves as completely independent, but really they will only use a few different companies, and, you know, sometimes they may try and point you towards the company who they do best from. But yeah, their money can be made up of two ways. What you quite rightly said, you've got money that they can make that is paid for by the financial institution. It doesn't affect you. You're not paying for it directly because effectively the bank is paying them for the finder's fee. They're paying them from the referral. They haven't had to do their own marketing costs to get you on board. Somebody else has referred you. But most brokers, in fact pretty much all brokers on a buy-to-let basis, are going to charge some kind of fee. A lot of the time the fee is worth its weight in gold, but just make sure you're getting the service for the fee you pay, you know. Say, don't pay a massive fee if you only wanted a small mortgage that you could have organised yourself. But if you know, want the right finance on the right property, the broker can do things that you might not have thought of yourself, so definitely worth going for.
Usually they'll have special deals if the broker's big enough.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You will get, not so much in the current market, but you are right, you will get certain brokers who do have access to rates or products that you would not get as Joe Public approaching that lender yourself, and particularly some of the bigger brokers. So yeah, absolutely, you can even get yourself a better deal. So again, you know, the fact that they charge you money for that service over the term is still going to be quids in on that. Duration of borrowing and maximising cash flow. We've already covered this off. Obviously, you go and take a mortgage out. If you were taking out a buy-to-let mortgage, what term would you elect to do it over? Okay, when you're doing it on an interest-only basis, the term that you choose to do it over has no relevance to your payment, yeah? If you're doing interest only, it doesn't matter whether you set it up over a term of 5 years or 25 years, every single month you will pay the same amount, or, you know, if it's a variable rate, doesn't matter, the term is not going to depend or have any dependence on that, because all you're paying back is interest, you're not paying capital. So we would always advise you to try and do it over the longest possible term that you can. just gives yourself the most options on that. If you've restricted yourself to a mortgage of interest only for 5 years, maybe in 5 years that it's not in your best interest at that point to refinance. So always go for the longest possible term. The only people in here that may want to think differently to that, I mean, you all look pretty young to me, but you know, somebody in later life, if they were looking, perhaps somebody who was in their 50s going and trying to do a mortgage over a 25-year term, the lender might not like it, or the lender might want additional proof that when that person hits 60, 65, they have got additional things in place that would allow them to fund the mortgage. I mean, again, in buy-to-let, it's more about the tenants. It's not so much about, you know, your actual income or circumstances in terms of the maths, but just bear that in mind. So, you know, if you are in your 50s, you might want to look at doing it over a 15-year term instead of 25, just to avoid those questions.
Could I just ask you, if you fix it for that term for 15 years, the lender would ask you to pay it back at the end of that term, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you literally took a mortgage out over 15 years, never changed that mortgage, saw that mortgage through to completion, then yeah, at the end of that 15 years, you would be in a position where you would need to pay that money back to remain with that lender. In actuality, nobody's likely to stay with that same mortgage lender for that time. You would look to refinance, you would look to possibly sell the property and move into a different area, do something with your money. I mean, how many of you with buy-to-let properties would still want to be owning that buy-to-let property in 25 years' time? Yeah. But hopefully by then you will have made enough money out of it to put yourselves in a position where you can pay off the capital. Hopefully the capital gain you would have made over the 25 years on that property is going to be in a position where you wouldn't need to keep any debt on that.